Lamech's family. You can easily imagine that through a considerable immigration within 1 year, the city of Enoch as well as the other 10 cities became noticeably deserted. Furthermore, Lamech had lost his loyal followers, and as a result his might, which he had considered to be so great, became as much as non-existent. Bearing this in mind, you will understand that Lamech for a period of about 30 years necessarily had to change his tone to a milder attitude in his government in order that the people would once more become submissive and begin to work for him so that at least he and his own could, without the care, gormandize like a pig and a lazy oxen. His family consisted of 2 wives, namely Ada, well-advised virtue and joyfulness, and Zillah, silent submission and patience. Ada had 2 sons, namely Jabal, father of the hut dwellers at the foot of the mountains, and Jubal, musician, inventor of the Pan's pipe and the violin, an instrument which resembled yours, but it consisted of a single piece of wood, which he had laboriously fashioned with the help of grinding and smoothing implements of stone. Zillah had a son, Tubal-Cain, and his sister, Naomi. I graciously allowed him to become a master in working metals, and Naomi tamed the wild animals, and thereby enabled her brother and his helpers to enter the iron-rich mountains. She was exceedingly beautiful, had a very humble, but all the more courageous soul, and her eyes possessed such a power that before her gaze stones became like wax, and the hard teeth of the beast soft like the down of a dove. Behold, this was Lamech's family, plus a few servants he had retained, a few ladies' maids, and some worthless concubines, in all about 30 people, all of whom had to work diligently in order to get something to eat and cover their nakedness. As already mentioned, this situation lasted about 30 years, when the people, because of the good inventions rather than because of Lamech, began to visit the city of Enoch in order to buy their useful metal articles by way of barter, also from the other cities. 10 cities people came to hear Jubal's music, which softened their hearts and changed their attitude towards Lamech. Thus Naomi's great beauty charmed the hearts, and the one who had not been able to see Naomi might weep and lament for days. To help you understand how this could be possible, I will describe her appearance to you. This Naomi was the same person who, going back to the times of darkest heathendom, was known by the name of Venus, as the wife of a blacksmith and goddess of beauty. Since Sarah and Rachel there had never been such a beauty on earth as that of Naomi. She was 5 feet tall, according to your measurement. Her hair was blacker than coal, her forehead white like new snow, slightly pink towards the eyes. The eyes were large and sky blue, the pupil fiery black, the eyelids fresh and tender, as were the dark eyebrows. The nose was straight and ended in a soft tip below which the nostrils gave it a sweet look through their gently rounded shape. The mouth was of the size of an eye, and its gently raised lips silenced any rose. Her perfectly formed, beautiful, and serene cheeks had the slightest flush of the most tender red of roses, and they looked like snow-covered roses, where the snow, as it were, lets the last love ray of this royal bloom shine through to its brilliantly white surface. Thus her chin was incomparable to any other in an earthly shape. Her neck was neither too long nor too short, but just perfect, smooth and round, and absolutely faultless. The beginning of her bosom distinguished itself from the neck only by a tenderly rounded elevation, and the shoulders and the nape of the neck were all in perfect harmony. The bosom was like an ethereal, soft, and white elevation of life, rather than something of flesh, on whose highest full and gentle roundness two bright young roses seemed to bud. Her arms were so rounded and soft that you would not be able to even imagine it, for such arms are found only in heaven. And in this perfect harmony, all her body was covered with a shining white of snow in ethereal tenderness and softness. This Naomi became the wife of her brother, who begat with her 7 sons who looked very heavy and shapeless, and resembled your so-called idiots. This was caused by the fact that Naomi, at her father's will, had to allow herself to be used too often for purely unchaste reasons because of his tyranny, for thereby all the men became once more submissive to Lamech. Now all eyes turned towards Naomi, and all ears to the greedy commands of Lamech, for right to her 88 88th year, named Naomi remained an object of human admiration, during which time the people had multiplied considerably and obeyed Lamech's commands. Seeing how mighty he had once more become, Lamech became increasingly severe and hard and cruelly reinstated the death penalty for those who resisted him. 28 August 1840. At this particular time of Naomi, Adam's children at my bidding sent the first good emissary from the mountains to the lowlands of Enoch, there to proclaim my name, and that in particular at the court of Lamech. And behold, Lamech received the emissary well, who was the grandson of Adam, descended from Adam's grandchildren before Seth. His name was Hored the Terrible, and he was tall, wise, and had neither wife nor children. When Lamech had taken Hored's teaching to heart, he honored this emissary by assembling all female members of his court and inviting Hored to choose the most beautiful woman. And lo, against my will, Hored looked at the wife of Tubal-Cain, and she had to obey Lamech's command, this being a matter of life and death. For although Naomi had at the time already reached an age of almost 80, she was still so beautiful that now a very attractive girl of 18 would be no match for her. Besides, Tubal-Cain was used to unfaithfulness anyway, and so he did not take this event to heart, all the more so since Hored assured him that the wild beasts would be unable to harm him because of the weapons and his metal armor, and besides, Hored would provide for him some strong helpers from the mountains, who would protect him and teach him the proper method of how to produce all kinds of useful things from metals. This satisfied Tubal-Cain completely, and thus this matter was ignominiously resolved. Hored departed from the city of Enoch and returned with his wife to the mountains. However, as far as the helpers from on high were concerned, this promise was not kept, as Hored did not return to his people with his wife, but had chosen a lonely spot where he could enjoy his happiness without being envied by anyone. Through this deception, Tubal-Cain was compelled to persuade his brother, Jabal, son of Ada, to join forces with him and erect foundries at the mountains and live there as a guard. Thus he became the first known foundryman. In this way they established regular metalworks and manufactured hundreds of objects, partly useful things, partly just ornaments and jewelry, which were avidly acquired in exchange for fruit from all the cities and from all parts of the great land, People traveled to the secure foundries where they bought articles they needed as well as luxury objects. They admired the tubal Cain and brought their sons to him to be apprenticed, and thus within a short time the foundry population grew to such numbers that Lamech began to become anxious concerning them. He thought, what shall I do? The crime I committed against my brothers is weighing down my heart. The great terrible one from the mountains, who became my second son-in-law, has severely reproached me, and bade me tell the people about this crime. If I do that, my life will be in danger, and if I do not, I will have God and his great children in the mountains against me, who will destroy the disobedient one. And behold, a powerful voice sounded from his breast. Reveal it to your wives and tell them, you wives of Lamech, listen to my words and pay good attention to what I tell you. I have killed a man, which deed gave me a tumor, and a youth, which act wounded me. Cain shall be revenged 7 times, but Lamech 77 times. And behold, Lamech found this acceptable, and soon did as bidden by the voice. But when his wives heard this, they had such a shock that they lost their speech, and thus were unable to tell anyone about it. After a while, they left him secretly to go to their sons in the foundries, but before they had reached them, they were stopped by 2 mountain dwellers. Their speech was restored, and they were taken to the hallowed heights of the mountains. As soon as they had arrived there, they asked about Naomi, but the guides told them that Horat had vanished out of disloyalty and jealousy, and they had not been shown where he was hiding like a worm, and if they wished to be blessed by them, the guides, they would take them for their wives. For Ada was 110 years old, and Zillah only 100, and both were still extremely beautiful. Nowadays they would have been thought to be only in their 24th year. Thereupon they let themselves be blessed, became the guides' wives, and traveled with their husbands to the abode of Adam, who was then already 920 years old, in order to receive his blessing too. When Adam saw them, he spoke in a troubled voice, Listen, you sons of the children of my children, I know all of my descendants who are within my blessing according to the blessing of Abel from eternal love. But these 2 women I do not know. Where are they from? And the 2 answered, They are outlawed wives of Lamech, whose crime has outlawed them. And Adam said, What are you saying? I know the son of Methuselah, who is only 126 years old, and has never known a woman as yet. So what are you saying? Cursed be the lie and the mouth that has uttered it, and the tongue which speaks an untruth in the face of God. Therefore by the curse of Cain, the murderer, tell me, where are these women from? Do not be angry, Father Adam. Also out of Cain, Lamech has come into existence in the lowland, and he has murdered 2 brothers. These wives were godly, notwithstanding the curse, and therefore the Lord has awakened us to save what was lost. And if we did his will, do not be angry, Father, but bless what the Lord has saved. And behold, Adam was moved and spoke, What the Lord has saved is already blessed, and my blessing would in this case be a sin. So go in peace. How could I dislike what pleases God? Therefore keep the treasures of eternal love and mercy. Amen. NB of June 25, 1841. Here 126 years do not denote the age, but only point to a state wherein man has not yet attained the proper ratio, which is 100 for God, 10 for the brother and fellow man, and 1 for himself. If you know your arithmetic, work it out, and you will know when a man is ready to be reborn. Lamech has not yet known a woman, because in his spirit he has not as yet reached the stage set as the foundation of eternal order. Annas W.H. Anselm W. Huttenbrenner, the public, is only 137 years old. Therefrom the 7 and the 3 somethings have still to come off. This says I, your father. Amen, amen, amen. Methuselah was at the time 273 years old, and Lamech 46. Chap 110:7. The Publics.